Hey everybody, welcome. This is Live at Epiphan. We are here a lot of Thursdays, every other Thursday at 3 o'clock. So thanks for joining us. And I'm excited today because we have a special guest, one of my favorite people, one of friends of Epiphan, Jeffrey Powers.
It's
Jeff, how's it
going great.
going?
How are you doing?
Great. I'm excited to see you. I haven't seen you in a couple of years because I haven't been to as many trade shows as I
It's
would have
been a
liked to
long
go.
and windy road. Yes, absolutely.
It has. We're going to get into that long and windy road today. So we had teed this episode up with a title of what is it? Building an audience on Amazon Live, because that's one of the many things that you have done over your career as a what do you call yourself? Influencer, YouTuber,
Janitor,
all of the
lost
above.
soul. I call myself a lost soul a lot. Yeah.
We'll dig into. Yeah, well, maybe you'll find yourself today on
I
this
hope so.
episode.
That would be fun.
Uh,
If anybody knows where I am,
that'd be a good
we'll
show.
put a number right down here. So anybody knows where I am, call that number.
Yeah, well, it's hard not to find you. You're on about 37 different platforms creating video content. Seems to be 24 hours a day. So you shouldn't be all that lost, in all honesty. Um, anyway, well, let's kick things off. I'm watching the YouTube here. I'm waiting for it to load up here so I can see comments. Um, and we'll answer any questions anybody has today. Hopefully, we get some today from our audience, and we'll go through a little history of Geekazine. So that's where I know you from. Geekazine, one of the more prominent shows on YouTube, which is where I find it. How did you get started in this business?
It was a long and winding road. No, it was a long and winding road. So
It is.
about 2007, I started. I wanted to get. Oh, I was doing podcasting, and I wanted to get into the tech area on podcasting because that's where I live and breathe. And so I decided
Mhm.
that I wanted to start a show. Basically took about a month to plan it all out. And the biggest thing was trying to figure out the website because I had actually had a different website in mind, name in mind that really wanted, but it turned out that that name was taken, and that kind of threw me for a loop because I was trying to find variations. I didn't want to do like whatever name one.com, that just didn't make sense. So
Yeah.
but then somebody said, this is the term geekazine came from the e-zines. Now, back in the day, of course, you had e-zines. There were like little
Hmm. Yeah.
publications that you could technically podcast with, but I decided that I hated the fact that it was always called e-zine. That didn't make any sense. It should be a-zine, a-zine, like magazine. And that's basically, I said, well, magazine for geeks, Geekazine. And that's where it all started. And we had Geekazine, we had Sportazine, we had Dorkazine, we had TVazine. Somebody had Rockazine. So
You had an
we had,
empire. I didn't know you had all of
yeah.
these other
Well, yeah, the whole
lives.
idea was I never really believed in, well, not, but I never really got into that idea that one channel is going to define you. So if you crossed it between multiple channels, you're going to find the different audiences converging to those different platforms, and then it creates one big audience. So, like for instance, a lot of these news websites, they don't just report on one side of the news; they report on multiple sides of the news, and that was the idea. Was I was going to do a show. I was going to do a show for Geekazine was actually a show for geeks rather than just tech, but it just kind of went that way. So I did have a podcast at one time where I would bring anybody on the show, and they'd tell me what made them their geek. They could be a medical geek, they could be a video geek, they could be a mustard geek. I don't know. It could be
Oh, a holistic, like
e-
overarching geeks of all
exactly,
flavors kind of
exactly. So
show. So you weren't always into tech, because I've known you in when I would say you like sum you up in like three kind of adjectives of what you talk about is video, tech, computing. Did you? How long has that been your emphasis of what you do?
well, it's soon after, about a year after, it just I had other people running the other websites. So they were
Okay.
doing their thing, and I was doing my thing. And then I started spinning other podcasts. I had a podcast called The Day in Tech History, which was daily tech history, where I podcast every day. I did that for 2,000 days, and as far as I know, nobody's done that 2,000 days consistently as of yet. That could change easily, but as far as I know, and then in about 2009, I decided, well, I'm doing the same stuff every single day, and I need to focus on other things. So I kind of called it quits at that point for that one. But that's when I decided that, okay, it was nice to give it a try. And the other guys that were doing like Sportazine, they were doing it volunteer, so they had other lives, so they had to attend to those other parts of the lives. So, and then you did forget
Yeah,
one adjective, and that is musician.
that's right. See, I know that about you, but I don't see that. Well, like, actually, that's true. I'm on your YouTube channel right now. In fact, we can pull it up
Don't do
here.
it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Um,
Oh, you just. Oh man.
yeah, we're doing it. Yeah, and so we have CES. So that's trade show stuff. You run around
Yep.
seeing all the new cool tech from everything,
Yeah.
and music tech.
So Geekazine's business model was always, well, it started off with podcasting, but then when I went to live streaming and recording, and then I found out to myself, I realized to myself that doing stuff in Madison, Wisconsin is kind of tough, and trying to get in front of products is really tough. So that's in 2009, I joined Todd Cochran and Andy McCaskey of the Tech Podcast Network, and we went out to CES and we covered it, Consumer Electronics Show, and we covered it. And from there I ran into other people and other shows, and we went to other events, and it was really great. And I met we just did a whole bunch of stuff that year, and it was awesome. So that's when ultimately.
And you're just putting out content out under your own name. It like you're not working for other tech companies, right?
Not
You're there to do
Yeah, not
Geekazine content.
directly, yes, but when
Yeah.
it came to like the CES coverage, the first few years I was under the Tech Podcast umbrella, because that was our group that I was working with, and I'm still technically working with them. But um, now when I go out to events like CES or NAB, I usually go out on my own, and then get the sponsorships, go out, get the videos, and then post them up, and then move on. And then of course I work out some deals, so somebody will say, hey, we got this product coming out, you should come and see it, or we'll send you a product and you can review it and all that other good stuff. And then that just kind of culminated from there. So that's basically where Geekazine was up until 2020.
Oh, because then there was a pandemic or something,
No, I
right?
think clowns came in. It was really weird. It's just, yeah, clowns. I
Clowns.
gotta
Okay,
always gotta
yeah,
blame
something
it on
happened.
clowns. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
I
stayed
stayed at home
home.
because the clowns. Yeah,
You
those
stayed
clowns.
home.
They're just scary.
Hey,
Yeah.
could be. Um, but now you're back at it. Or are you?
Well,
Are you hitting the road
the
again?
funny thing was, I am back at it. I went to CES in January. I went to NAB in April, and I teamed up with another group called Office Hours. During the pandemic, we've been doing a Zoom call every single day. It's a bunch of audio and video geeks just like you and me that get together and talk audio, video. We have second hours, which deep dive into certain things. Like, for instance, they deep dived into a streaming service today. I think Streambox, I think it was. And
Yeah, yeah.
they did a lot. We do a lot of second hours on that. It's grown into where there's a production team, where it was normally it's a regular everyday Zoom call. But even just like this show is, you look at it and you probably not realize that our main interface is a Zoom interface. And we're doing other things to make this happen, or you guys are doing other things. I'm not doing a thing but talking, but you guys are doing stuff to make it not look like it's a Zoom call, and that's what they do on Office Hours. So at NAB, I was one of the roving reporters, and had a lot of fun with
Okay.
it, and it was getting back into my thing, and that was all well and good. But I then we set up more shows, and I went to Florida to talk about Amazon Live at Podfest, and the big C caught up. Mr. C caught up, That's old Happy Days.
Clown,
No,
Mr.
no,
Clown.
yeah, okay. I was thinking of a Happy Days reference, but okay, Mr. Seach showed up. Absolutely. And then that's when I missed 3 shows. I missed NAM, which is a music related conference, Infocom, which is audio video, and then Cinegear, which is high end movie audio video. And that's when that's when I got this big C and couldn't make all of those events, so I missed out on a lot for that.
So, but you're back at it. Like you're not gonna stay home anymore. I mean, if you can stay healthy, you'll get out here, and I will see you roving the floors of sweaty trade
Absolutely.
shows. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes. The plan for
Awesome.
the plan right now, I do have a major event coming up in August. We're also planning going to NAB in New York, and I'm definitely going to be
Yes.
going back to CES in January. And this is the other funny thing is all these conferences are just kind of culminating together in the time being. So, like for instance, the 3 shows I missed. Normally, like NAM usually happens in January. Next year, it's going to happen in April, and the year after, it's going to be back to its.
Oh, it's all
Yeah,
been
it's all
turned
been
upside down.
yeah,
It's all
everything's been
wacky.
on top of each other. So you'd be at one conference, and the next you'd just kind of go from that one location to the next one. It's because I was going to be going from California to Vegas back to California, if I would have done those trips. So it's everybody's trying to get in and put their shows together so they can get back into a normalcy. And it's been tough. It's been really tough.
Yeah, it has been tough on a lot of people, especially people who need to get out in the world, and you're
Hmm.
one of them. But nonetheless, you are doing stuff. You were here. I haven't even seen this. You did a live stream with our Pearl Nano, which I think we shipped to you like a couple
Yes,
days ago.
got it right here.
So you cranked this out
Yeah.
yesterday. So I'll have to dig into this later and see how it went.
The only thing I couldn't,
But
the only
you're
thing
doing
I
this for a
couldn't
lot.
figure out is how to stop the fire at the end of the video. It would just burst into flames. No, I'm
Now I really want to watch
kidding.
this. Okay. Um, but yeah, dude, you do a lot of things. I was looking at like in getting ready for this show. I was finding you on TikTok. I was finding you on LinkedIn. I was finding you
Hmm.
all over the place. So a lot of time and energy goes into this. It's a full time job,
Hmm.
huh? Like I don't know how many hours a day you work, but I'm guessing it's a
It
lot.
really depends on the situation. I mean, I do work for myself, and there are things that I do that are not Geekazine related. Um, like for instance, somebody will say, "Hey, I want to do a conference. I want to make it not look like a Zoom call." So they'll come in, they'll come into my studio virtually, and then I will do the post production so it looks as best as possible.
So you're doing remote production for hire
Yeah.
services
Oh,
on
and I'm
occasion.
trying to do a lot more of it. Absolutely.
Amazing.
So, oh yeah.
Oh, really? Because you can do it, you can squeeze it in whenever. You can do it from your
Yeah,
house,
yeah, yeah. I mean, you
right?
guys are doing it right now, and that's that'd be great. When I cannot travel, and it's not that I don't want to travel because that's still part of my business plan, but we have the
Hmm.
ability here now to bring to make these shows happen, and I'm gonna get into that in a little bit in Amazon Live, um, as we talk about this. But the reality is that if you are not setting up a home studio, if you're somebody that goes on the road like I do and gets the interviews and gets the product first looks and things like that, you're not
Hmm.
setting something up at home to do that exact same thing, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because with the variants coming out, with the possibility within the next 5 years that we get another similar lockdown is very good. And yeah, I think we'll have a lot of problems, and a lot of people try to do the more virtual stuff. And there's a lot of good money to be made, and a lot of good content to be created.
Even outside of content, just having a good video presence from anywhere you live is really smart. Like whether you're going holidays or whether you're traveling or whether you're at home, I know it matters to me that I can see and hear people pretty
Absolutely.
well. So on the most basic level. and regardless of any upcoming pandemic, end of world
Yeah.
scenario that we might want to paint. But let's jump into what you said a minute ago. So you said recently you have started making video content for Amazon. So if you can start from the beginning on and tell our audience, like, what kind of video content do you think of Amazon? We're not talking about Amazon Prime here.
Yeah.
We're talking about Amazon.com. I'm buying stuff.
So back in 2020, Amazon actually contacted me, and you get one of those emails, and it's like, oh yeah, it's spam. That's somebody's trying to fish. But I ended up I took a look at it, and I said, well, I'll respond to this one. So I have a feeling, and it turned out to be that what Amazon was doing is they were starting up their live shopping network. And that's what this is. This is like a QVC. This is not YouTube. Anybody that joins up on Amazon Live, and I've seen many people do it, thinking that, oh, this is another avenue of YouTube. I can take my YouTube videos and just bring it over and everything will be happy and good. No, that doesn't work that way. What it is, and it wasn't at the time, it was basically just hey, you just get online and you do your thing and show some products in the meantime. And, we'll give you a $50 gift card. That was all in beta at the time. And they were working out the whole system. So we had a small group that was doing it. And I had a lot of fun with it, and it was looking good. And then when they decided to switch over and they said, okay, now you're going to be we're going to be monetizing your stuff. So if you show like this mouse right here, and you said, this is the mouse, this is how you buy it, and people click on that mouse, you're going to get a percentage of that. And so a lot of people started filling up what are the carousels, which are on the bottom of the screen, and just put a whole bunch of products in. And some of these people are making it into a full-time job. We saw people like Matt, the deal guy. Matt, I can't think of his last name right now, but the whole point is that all he does is talk about deals. I have friends on there. They're going for their high-end, what's called A-lister status. So that means that they get prime spots and locations, but they're always selling. Now, as me with Geekazine is, I do need to sell every product that I review for some aspect. And anybody that's reviewing, if they're not saying that they're not selling product, if they put a link in that goes to an affiliate code, they're selling a product. That's no matter what you say, good or bad on the product. If they're still putting that link in, they're still selling that product. And so,
yeah, it's kind of like an evolution. It feels like a closer evolution. It's an evolution of the affiliate link that you would put underneath every YouTube video that I'm sure you still do today. But it's just one step closer. It's like, well, let's skip that whole process and go right to the platform where you can buy it and do all the content there.
Now, here's what it came in. I have my alliances technically with Geekazine. And so I didn't want to make it like I'm going to shove 40 products into your face that you probably have never really wanted to buy before, and I'm going to make you buy it type thing. I have always wanted to buy Garbage Pail Kids tarot cards. Well, they're right here if you want. But anything cool. I mean, that's a geeky thing. So I like showing that off, and I still have to do the tarot from there. But the whole point is that I still wanted it to be my show, just also on Amazon. And it's tougher because there's a lot of limitations to that. Like I said, this Amazon is a walled garden. Always has been, always will be. They want you to come in and then stay in the infrastructure and never leave. And so with these videos, what you're doing is you're creating content to make people come in, and then once they get in, they never leave. So and so you don't normally say, you don't normally say, well, you can follow me on YouTube. Here's my YouTube channel. You can follow me here. You can do this. Live people, there is a little bit of leeway in that, so people know how they can find you. But for the most part, is you got to stay on the Amazon infrastructure. You can't say go over to B&H and buy the same thing. Go over to Best Buy and buy the same thing. You got to buy it. You got to buy it from Amazon, and the products, of course, have to be in the Amazon infrastructure. So if this
Do you get any say? Do you get to say over these products? Like, how do you choose, these Power Bear 4K
It's
cables? Or do they say, here's a bunch of stuff, maybe some
well,
of the stuff you might like?
part of like for instance the video in question that we're looking at, which of course is the Pearl Nano, the carousel. It's not a good idea to have one product in the carousel. So what I did was I showed you the Pearl Nano, which is what I was showing off, and then HDMI cables, which everybody needs, the camera, which was the PTZ Optics camera, still is, and the light that I was using. So I put in like 5 or 6 things into this carousel, so you had an idea.
But you can pick anything you
Yeah, that
want, right? Like you get to cherry
as
pick whatever stuff that you think is
as long
worth
as it's on Amazon,
advocating for.
I get to pick and talk about it. In fact, the one thing
Cool.
about being an Amazon Live influencer is that you have to have a majority of those product in hand. There is some cases where you can talk about an item, but it's like like yeah, I can talk about this 3 out of 4 things I can that I have to pick up or have a video that I created on. So I don't have to have it like right here. I can pick it up and I can talk about this mouse, but then I can go to a video of me talking about this mouse. As long as I'm coming back to myself after a minute or two to keep the conversation going and not feel like a whole bunch of recordings are happening. But the whole thing is that these products
Right.
I need to have physically touched and played with before I can give an opinion on. And if they see people not doing that, then they're pretty much kicked off the system.
Hmm. So does everybody here on this platform, I'm looking at all these
Mm-hmm.
different people selling, from makeup, pool supplies, birding
Mm-hmm.
equipment, clothing,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It's Amazon, right? Uh, do they all look as good as you do on camera? You've been doing this for a long time. You're a video professional. You can make other people look good. You can make yourself look good. Are they showing up with cell phones making this
Yeah.
stuff, or are they like you in a
Yeah. And
professional
I've done that
studio?
too. I mean, sometimes you got to get down and
Hmm.
dirty. Sometimes they're going they're going for the QVC feel without having the QVC feel. So whereas QVC, was that big old turntable with lights and cameras and everything like that, they didn't. I don't think Amazon really wants that. They want the down because they know the down home influencer will pick up and say, "Hey, try this product," and more people will believe that person than somebody that's stuck underneath 500-watt lights.
That's fair. There's some
Yeah,
authenticity there when you show up using very familiar
yeah.
looking equipment or no
and
equipment at all.
and
So
then you have me
interesting.
there that is putting up graphics like saying come to my channel down here or whatnot, and I kind of changed that normal a little bit, but that is how I've done my shows for the last 15 years. By the way, Geekazine's going to be 15 years old in October. I've been doing this for quite a while now.
Well, I know that's exciting. So what does that make you think of doing this for 15 years? Like, can you imagine doing it for another
Well, I have
15?
to. I don't want to take a 9 to 5 job. The reason why I started doing this was because I lost the 9 to 5 job that I had, and I didn't want to go back to the 9 to 5 job. And I knew that there was some opportunities where I could stay at home and do things. So that made things a lot easier when in 2020 when everybody had to lock down because I had this all built up. It was all ready to go. I just had to utilize it in different ways.
Very true. Yeah, you were all set up. Um, what have you seen change from the last? I mean, you've seen a million things change, but let's say you were talking to a content creator 15 years ago who was starting up their own version of Geekazine versus starting
Don't
from
do it.
scratch now. Can people do what you did? Is that kind of
Yeah,
it?
well,
Yeah.
back in those days, yeah, back in those days, there was a lot of there's a lot of things that you have nowadays. And I know I'm going to sound cliche and old, but yeah, we didn't have those USB drives back in those days. We didn't have portable monitors and laptops with M2 chips and blah blah blah. Um, so we had well, my first podcast. It was I had a microphone, I had a mixer. I'm a musician, so I had those things, and I hooked it up to a computer, and then I did a podcast. And and then when I started doing video, I had a really old Logitech camera that did like 5 frames a second or something like that. And if you saw some of the old videos they're still out there. So if you saw some of those old videos, you'll see me, doing Mr. Roboto back and forth. And it was it was a challenge because you were doing it, and even the computers that we were doing it on were just, I don't know, really, how do I put it? You didn't expect them to be able to do what they did. And like, for instance, in this show, Five Tech Things, I'm even talking before this show. But
Okay.
that's when I
Okay.
started getting into more production, and I built it up from there. And then I met the folks at Wirecast. That was back in 2010, and they changed my life with software switching. And then I really got into it, and it's just amazing what I can do nowadays with all the programs and hardware I have.
But so you're saying like when you started 15 years ago, you had to be really good at making video content just to
No,
be able to pull it off. Like you
you
couldn't
had to
just,
be really good at putting something together, because either you had the money to go out and buy the camera, the microphone, the
yeah,
system,
yeah, 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 yeah.
or you had to figure out, okay, I what can I do with what I
You're
got
clever.
to put together. So my first
Yeah.
CES, we did a thing called the back channel, and in the back channel, I took Kodak came out with these little cameras. I think I have one somewhere around here, little handheld cameras, and it had a little feature called the microphone. They also had those, what, the flip cameras, I think it was, but they didn't have a microphone
Mhm.
port. I went with the Kodak, and then we put a wireless microphone, we put a light, we put it on a stand, and I walked around CES, and I was surprised how many people looked at my rig for what they were doing, because they thought to themselves, "Gosh, I don't have to haul this big camera anymore. I can take this small little device on a tripod, and less time, less effort, and maybe even less help." So the money stays a little closer because everybody's working on shoestring budgets anyway. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The first time I met you, you were out and you were hustling with your rig at a show, and I was envious of you because you had a little light, little cube light, the size of my AirPod
this
case,
one right here,
on top of your camera,
one of these, yeah.
and it was brilliant. It was like blast. It's like a car headlight coming off
Yeah.
the top of your camera, and it's the size
This
of
was the light.
AirPods.
This is the
So
Lytra light, and actually, Lytra was bought out by Logitech. So, congratulations to
okay,
Lytra, by the way. So yeah, they
yeah,
helped.
really.
I saw them at a couple shows. They got me product. We did some reviews. We did some work together. It was great, and I'm so proud that they're doing really well in the Logitech family nowadays.
So why wouldn't you mentioned 15 years ago what you had to figure out to make it work, and you had certain advantages that way because you were good at that stuff. Compared to now, like why do you whisper don't start? Like what's the
Oh,
difference now? Is it about the
no,
economics of
no, that was
platforms and
purely a joke. Go ahead and start. You have the competitive person in me says, "Don't do it, don't do it," but the realist in
okay,
me,
just
yeah,
guarding your
but the
turf.
realist
Okay.
in me is like, "No, let me
Yeah.
help you do it. Let me show you how it's done."
Do you think there's as much opportunity now?
Oh, if not more. I mean, every
Yeah.
time, every year passes and then something new comes in. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it started to be crypto, then blockchain, and then now NFTs are the big thing that people I have no idea how to set up an NFT. I have no, and it's not in my realm. I have an understanding of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not where I want to go, the direction I want to go. So uh, somebody's I know there's people that are excelling with NFTs, and that's great for them. There's people that are taking the Stream Deck, and I've been watching these YouTube videos. It's really great. That's all their channel is about, and that is Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck, and it's
Oh yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, we just put out our own Stream Deck video because it's so
Yeah,
powerful and you can do all these things with it. It's the most customizable utility
ex-
in
exactly.
computing.
So my point being is, if you watch YouTube nowadays, from 10 years ago, it's so structured, it's so niche, but it's so across the board. So if I look at my if I
Okay, let's jump into one other niche on your channel right now, which is live. If we pull up our screen share, we see 3D
yeah,
printing today. So we talked about you're a musician, you've got all the tech. You're also into 3D printing, which kind of fits there nicely. But this channel, as far as I can tell, it says 3D printing. This has been streaming live since the 25th. Today's the
Yep.
28th. So
Yeah, it's
does it ever
well,
stop?
it's only been streaming live since that long because then we had like an internet outage or something like that and I lose connection and I have to restart it. So, but this channel has been going for the last 4 years. And it's more than just doing 3D prints. Every now and then, I'll go back to the interviews. For years, it was all about the content that I was making on YouTube and all the interviews, some of the back channel stuff, some of the photos, and that. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, a computer down in the basement is running all the videos. And then when I started doing 3D printing this last year, excuse me, that I just said, well, what if I hook up a camera? I just got an ATEM Mini. It's like, what am I going to do with the ATEM Mini? I know what I'll do. I'll hook it up around the 3D printer, and then I'll be able to do different camera angles, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. And I did that for a while. I switched up to a single camera after that, but because I'm using the ATEM for other things. But it was, if you're not watching the 3D prints, we've got content, or I'm doing a live show.
This is like, there's the fireplace channel, there's the
Hmm.
puppies channel, and then we've got your 3D
Absolutely.
printing channel. Cool. And what is he making? What am I
A
looking at here?
mess. It's
Like,
it's
what's actually.
actually that's gonna fail in about 2 minutes here. So right now,
But are
nothing's
you.
on. It's actually the beginning of making a fountain. I found this. You could. The best part about 3D printers is you can go online in a place called Thingiverse.com, or there's other websites too, and you can find
Yeah,
these
yeah.
absolutely free models, and then you can reshape it and rework it. I did. They had a Ghostbusters sign, and I printed that out, but I didn't use all of the pieces that they gave me for the Ghostbusters sign because I wanted it to pop out. I wanted it to be 3D. So I found another one that was popping out, and then I merged them together. I remixed it, and then I created the sign. I should have grabbed it. It's in the other room, but I that's the best part is not only can you print it, you can say, well, what would happen if I did this? Here's another example. I made this nice little fun little can koozie, and it's basically got dragons. There were supposed to be three dragons on the front, but I changed that so there's only one dragon because this all got messed up. And I can go into 3D software to change it, or I can do it through Post, and just do a whole bunch of cutting and filing down, shaving, all that stuff. And I have this really.
Dude,
Oh
you're
yeah,
having fun.
tons
This
fun.
looks fun. You're making music, you're making video content, you're making
And
can
that's the other
koozies.
thing about stream. I
You're
have the drum set over there. I've been lately doing a lot more music stuff in front of the drum set, and just playing around with it, having fun.
awesome. Well, I'm excited. I like all the stuff that you do. It's nice to see that you spread out in so many diverse areas. This is like the history of your channel. Some other guy with a beard here looks like you, and then but you've covered a lot of
Yeah,
things. It's wild.
tons.
So I encourage everybody to watch, check it, find Geekazine on whatever channel that you happen to be on, and follow Jeffrey because you do good work. Let's jump into a little bit of a game we like to play here on our show called This or That.
This
So we'll go full we'll go full on geek with you here, and we'll say NDI or SRT.
NDI. I know NDI better.
Why?
SRT is newer to me. NDI is I've been working with NDI for 5 years now, and I've got cameras that are NDI enabled. I can take NDI tools and put it on any computer, and start utilizing it. SRT is still foreign to me, and you need there are some, but yeah, there are some things that you need to set up. But I am working on better understanding of how SRT works.
We are going to replay this clip in a year from now, and you're going to say, man, was I so into NDI at that time? Because SRT is going to blow your mind. You're going to love it.
Well,
I'm
now
excited
that I
for it.
got this Pearl Nano, I'm going to do a little bit more SRTs, and of course, vMix,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what it's
vMix
for.
and
It's perfect.
Wirecast both do SRTs. But there's still going to be that happy medium. Like my PTZ cameras are not going to do SRT; they're going to do NDI. So I'm just going to have to do it that way, and then use SRT to send out, like I'm doing right now.
Oh, you got to
Yeah,
use what you got. You got to use what
absolutely.
you got for sure. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Stream Deck or A10 Mini? Which one do you keep? Which one do you get rid of? You have to.
Well, I keep the Stream Deck. That's a no brainer, especially nowadays. The
Okay.
cool thing
Uh,
about Stream Deck is they're getting closer and closer. Elgato has always been its own infrastructure, walled garden, whatever you want to call it. You could just use Stream Deck for other things, but if you buy the Elgato lights and the capture cards and all that stuff, that all comes together a lot easier than if you buy somebody else's lights,
yeah, yeah.
somebody else's microphone.
Yes. Shure or Rode? Maybe you don't
I
care.
Well, I don't use too much Rode. I use a lot Shure, especially when it comes to music. I've
Mm-hmm.
lived in a Shure world, Beta 58s, and the like. Of course, I got a high LPR 40 sitting right here in front of my face, but it's
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sort of agnostic when it comes to microphones, as long as it sounds good.
I kind of
Yeah,
feel the same way. I'm with you the same way. The good news is it's because they're
yeah,
all awesome. And it's not like there's like, oh, Rode sucks. Like no one ever says these things.
yeah.
They're all great. And it's the same with the next one too. So Canon, Sony, or Panasonic?
I've always been a Sony person. I especially with their
Yes.
sensor. A lot of these web cameras are now coming out with the Starvis 2 sensor, which does 4K and great low light. And I really am enjoying how those cameras are being used, because then I can take, because I've had one of the other things that I've done is I've done at home kits. That's basically a kit that you send to somebody, they set it up, they do their thing, they send it back to you. And I've any camera that gets small and still can get the image that I need it to, I'm I'm all for. So I love Sony stuff.
Here, here. We have some debate in our office about Sony and Canon. I am more Canon because I like the usability of Canon.
Canon has great DSLRs. I have 3 of them sitting in the back, taking pictures. I've done video off of Canon cameras. I have no qualms over them. I just decided to go Sony with where I was going.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Now let's see. Where do we want to go? Let's say for this and that. Thanks for jumping in there for that. Anything else on your mind these days? Anything you're loving or hating in the world of
In the world of
technology and
technology,
AV?
yeah, I just got hooked up on, what is this, Be Live or whatever it is, um, and or
Yes.
Be Real, not Be Live, Be Real, and it's a
I've been reading
yeah.
about this. I haven't gone in yet, but I'm pretty curious.
It's basically, all of a sudden they'll send you a message and they'll say take a picture, and you've got to pull up the app and take a picture. You can't do posing, you can't really retake your photo or anything like that. It's just in the moment type picture, and it's going to take a picture from both the front and the rear facing camera. And I've done a few of them. A lot of time, actually, the funny thing is, about a minute before the show started, they said it's time to take your picture, and it's like, I can't do that right now, so I have to wait till the next window opens up before I can be part of it. So it's nice. I think it'll work for a little while, but I'm not sure where it's going to work in the long term. So other than that, just the idea of technology changing, amazing. Like, for instance, right in front of me, I'm working on a kit for when I go out for this event come next month. And it's
Yes.
nowadays, with the fact that I can take a Mac M1, I got a Mac M1 Mini that I put in my bag along with my laptop. And hopefully soon it'll be a Mac M2 Air. That's where I'm thinking of going next. But the idea is that I can set this up in the hotel room, put all my video on there, set it up to render from this computer, and then take my other computer, my laptop, and do whatever I need to do with it, and have that ability to work hard. And that's not even the best part. The best part is the cloud, And all of these companies now, there's movies out there that are being rendered right now and flying over your head technically, because they're being rendered all around the world rather than one place. And these are, like Maverick and Jurassic Park and all that stuff. It's not one physical location where everything's just happening. It's just traversing the globe, and until it's done, and then they pull it down and they say, okay, now let's send it off to the theaters. So it's just crazy what we can do, setting up an AWS instance to do live streaming, doing live streaming like we're doing right now, and just things like that just are completely amazing. And
It
yeah,
is
I'm
exciting, yeah, especially in cloud. Like we can't get more excited about it with all the things we're trying to move everything we do
yeah,
into the cloud, and it's like we're we're making a lot of the same moves that we made 20 years ago, but instead of doing them locally, like converting a signal from VGA to HDMI, now we're in the cloud converting team signals to
yeah.
SRT signals. And so it's an interesting point in our own reflective like history to look back at, and it was like, oh yeah, and now we're moving all of our
Yeah,
streaming
and this
technology
is
into the
this is
cloud as
where
well. So
SRT is really going to start to shine over NDI because of this and that question you asked, because SRT works better in for something that's not physically on site. It's not that NDI can't do it. It's more of
yeah,
SRT is
yeah,
more
yeah,
native to do it, and that's what's beautiful
correct,
about it.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm setting up my cloud instances and figuring out how I can do it because I'm a big fan of modularization. I never have one machine
Mm-hmm.
do everything. So even on this system, I'm thinking, how do I take this Pearl Nano and set it up so it either streams or records from the event that I'm doing? So the main computer does nothing but switching the cameras back and forth.
That's what half the people are using Pearl Nano for. A lot of our Pearls, they're still using another switching, either computer or interface, but they just want to offload
Yeah.
that encoding,
Well,
the heavy lifting of
this
that
show
work.
this show is being done on which Pearl, which Epiphan device?
This is being done on a Pearl 2 in our office, where there is nobody there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is a little lonely Pearl sitting on a dark room.
And that's what I'm hoping to do. I got a friend that has a data center that we've been talking about actually putting something like that into his data center. So I could literally have only two cameras and a small computer, and maybe even a second location where somebody has a camera and a small computer, and then it all just merges together by somebody who is at home mixing it together, like you guys are doing right here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very exciting time. I'm glad you're a part of it. Well, let's call it a day there. Thanks for all the tips. I got some research to do into Be Real and the Starvis sensor and 3 other things that I wrote down during this call. So it's always a treat to talk to you. You know a lot about the industry.
If you really want to find something out, do the rabbit hole dance, and that is a company called Liminal. Liminal. They made Zoom OSC and Zoom ISO. Zoom it.
I know the company Liminal because we're doing a similar thing around Teams right now, where we've developed Teams technology to extract those signals, and so Liminal is kind of a sister project there. So thank you
for those who don't know,
well.
this is just software that'll make it not look like a Zoom call, and you can set it up. I use this I got a couple shows that I'm working on that are coming out that way, that are perfect. And Zoom bought them. And so it's getting it's separate but incorporated in Zoom, and with NDI coming in Zoom, it's just amazing what we'll be able to do. Like Tony Robbins bringing in thousands of people into a Zoom call, standing in front of a big screen and pointing at this guy and saying, "George, you're up next. Come up here. Let's talk." And it.
Oh, and then I quiver and I quake and I make my way up to the stage, right? Yeah. Well, I hope I get the call.
Yeah, come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Okay, well, let's call it a day there. It's been a slice talking to you, Jeffrey. And hopefully I'll see you next time, not on a Zoom call or a Teams call or anything else, but running around a trade show with Video Kit. So
absolutely.
Thanks for joining
thank you very
us
much
today. And to everybody watching, we're here every other Thursday at 3 o'clock. Subscribe to the channel, like us, and talk to us. Let us know what you want to hear on the show, and we'll find people to talk about it with. So cheers, have a great Thursday, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.